Amon Tobin is an innovative electronic music producer specializing in sound design and production techniques. Arriving on the English scene in 1997, Amon's construction of jazz-inspired, sample-driven output inspired listeners and critics alike. Amon Tobin has garnered substantial notoriety for his advanced production methods and cinematic compositions. You're tuned into Roots to Grooves. Welcome, one and all. We are in Seattle, Washington, and my name is Jesse. Sitting across from me is Jay, Purcell, himself.
Hello, everybody. Welcome along.
Welcome
to another
everybody.
episode.
We're happy to be back. We're talking about a super cool artist called Cujo today.
Otherwise known as Amon Tobin.
Amon Tobin. Well, I guess that's his other
Amon Tobin.
his side project
Yeah.
under his own name.
You could say this guy is he's an electronic music producer. We'll get into his background because he's kind of from all over the world. I wouldn't say it's particularly from somewhere. He used to be from Brighton, but he's actually from Brazil originally. But I think right now he lives in LA. We'll get into it.
Innovative
yeah.
electronic music.
Yeah.
Widely praised for studio recordings, utilizing production techniques that are more common to like cinematic soundtrack.
Yeah, more like
production.
Sound design
Yeah.
type approach to things. He has been labeled genre-wise everything from electronic, IDM, new jazz, trip-hop, drum and bass, music concrete, experimental, and all of those would be correct.
Yeah, nice.
And that's crazy. And he also, he's released his own music under his own name, Amon. I think it's Amon Tobin.
Amon?
Yeah. Since like the late 90s, all the way up until now, but also through that entire period, he has released music under other pseudonyms and other collaborations of other people. Cujo being one of them that you mentioned, which I think means who's in Brazilian or Portuguese. Who's?
I only know Cujo from, was it a Stephen King book, Cujo?
It's also, I think, the name of a movie that the Key and Peele guys did when they had a missing cat.
Oh, really?
Cujo, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But also, Amon Tobin has released music under Two Fingers, Only Child, Tyrant, Figueroa, and Stone Giants, all throughout the entire 20-plus year career, almost 30 years, I guess, at this point. I first came across him because he signed to Ninja Tune. He was like for the majority of his career. I'm not sure if he's still with them now, but Ninja Tune.
We're adding to our Ninja Tune suite.
Yeah.
Artists.
On Bonobo, we did an episode on him. He has actually worked with Amon Tobin, so we mentioned Amon Tobin on the Bonobo episode. We might have played a little track off of Amon's album Super Modified in that episode, I think. But yeah, Ninja Tune, big sort of like breakbeat trip hop record label, legendary label. It's been around for probably 30 years at this point as well. And Amon Tobin being one of their biggest, like earliest artists and signings as well. But yeah, this guy's just like, I think we sort of explained it. He's very, there's no song structures. It's all sample based music. And we'll talk about that as we go along because he sources his samples in very different ways throughout all the albums he's done. A lot of albums out. I can't even count how many. There's so many of them. Just under his own name, not including like other stuff that he's done, other collaborations and
Certainly.
other pseudonyms. Yeah.
Right, very prolific.
And he's done movie soundtracks. He's done like Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell video game soundtrack in 2005. I played that game, and I don't really play computer games, but I played that game, and like the music on it is great. It's like, and we'll talk about that as well because it's really interesting how he put that soundtrack together. But like I said, I came across him from the Super Modified album, which I think is his third release. Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah,
and that for me was a big album. I used to listen to that a lot. But it's a very experimental album. But it's out of some of his other stuff. It's a little bit more breakbeaty or trip hoppy. Like that track we just opened with was off of that album. A track called "Get Your Snack On."
Get your snack on. I'm snacking on Amon.
Yeah. But his first, we'll play a track now. That's kind of the overview of where he's at, I think.
Yeah, let's give listeners as well as ourselves another little listen about what this guy's doing. It's mostly instrumental stuff. There's no vocals throughout his discography. Is that right?
Yeah, not on his own stuff. But I think on his most recently 2021 stuff, he started to put his own vocals on it, I think. That's
Nice.
what I heard, but mostly
Cool.
instrumental, yeah.
Well, let's get into it. Let's play this track, Jay.
Yeah, we're going to rewind all the way to 1997, his debut album-ish. He
We're
did
going
have
to
a
the
release.
90s.
Yeah, Stony Street. That was a track called Stony Street, the opening track off of Amon Tobin's 1997 album, Bricolage.
It's a good album.
Yeah.
Pretty jazzy one.
Jazzy one, yeah. Yeah.
Which I'm down for.
Yeah. But yeah, what did you think, by the way? We didn't say. What we thought of, like, overall of, because it was my pick this week.
This was Jay's pick.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I love it. It's really good. I love the experimentation. I love the kind of oddball left field energy, like just totally not caring about pop or, like song structure and like making that poppy. Just totally, I just want to make sounds and sample things and put them together in a way that nobody ever has before, maybe.
Yeah.
I think his whole discography is great.
Yeah.
And it's very listenable for a multitude of reasons and times and places in an individual's life.
Yeah.
So for that, it's very valuable. It's great. It's really in-depth work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I don't know, I can listen to any of these tracks.
Right.
And
some of them are a bit more obscure. Like we keep bringing up Actress, but I guess this comes from some of my listening habits of electronic music that I listen to, kind of thing.
Is he on Ninja Tune?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Actress is not on Ninja Tune, but yeah.
But same vein.
Yeah.
Of experiment level of experiment and progressive.
Yeah.
Progressivity.
Yeah. Progressivity. Words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
But I'm not super familiar.
Yeah, and I've dipped in and out throughout the years. Like, Super Modified was the album I was really into, and then I'll be honest, I haven't really followed his career since then and over the last few years. So, but there's a lot there now. There's a lot more than when I last looked. So
there's a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
So very prolific guy, but I like it all.
Yeah.
But this was my first really deep dive into Amon Tobin.
Right. Yeah.
And I like what I hear.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a good episode. I'm hyped.
Yeah. So he's still underground. He's been around though for like a long time, since the late 90s.
He's like very well known underground.
Yeah.
In the underground category.
Yeah. I think.
Is that fair?
Maybe.
Like as far as underground people go,
I guess
he's at the top.
Ninja Tune. Yeah, I mean, people like maybe of my generation or older that were like really into sort of the electronic scene in UK in like early 2000s and all that would probably be aware of him for sure. Outside of that, I don't know if he really had any sort of mainstream, recognition, because obviously he's making music that isn't really like radio pop songs. Although there were only like back in the day only 4 TV channels in the UK. Most people didn't have cable or subscribe to it. They just got the 4 channels.
Right.
And he did make appearances on like Channel 4, which is like one of the main stations. They used to have this late night music programming segment called 4 Music, and it was really cool. They'd always have a lot of underground artists on there, and they did like a short thing on Amon when he moved to Canada at a certain point. It was like a documentary kind of thing. But yeah, he's 50 years old now.
Okay.
Born in the 70s. Born in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, I mean, let's go to the top. Yeah. 1972.
Yeah.
It's hot and humid, and we're in Brazil.
Right. The World Cup is not happening, or is it happening? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's a big old forest,
rainforest
all around us, and I just hear monkeys and birds.
Oh my God.
And I don't know, down the road is a little hospital where Amon Tobin is born.
Does you have the hospital name?
I don't.
I was like, wow, you're about to impress me with your deep research.
No, I'm not that good yet, guys. I'm working my way towards being a better researcher, though.
But I think his dad's Irish. I think his mum's Brazilian.
Okay.
And the family left when he was only 2 years old to go to Europe. I'm not sure what his parents did, but they moved around a lot. They lived in Morocco, Netherlands, Portugal. They finally settled in Brighton in the UK on the south coast.
Also, real quick, did you mention Africa?
Morocco, yeah.
Oh, Morocco's in Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I got to look at a map.
Yeah. And You should look at a map. No, I'm saying.
Well, I'm gonna look at it right now. But I
Yeah,
thought North Africa, Morocco's in
Yeah.
North Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, then I am an idiot.
So across the water from Morocco is Spain, I believe. I think. You might want to see what it says on your map.
Yeah, totally. It's right at the north part of Africa.
There you go. Yeah.
Morocco.
I've always wanted to visit, never visited. Yeah, actually, we should bring up maps on screen now.
Yeah, we can do that.
We could do that. We have the technology.
Sorry for the audio people, though. We love you. But if you want to see on the YouTube,
Yeah.
once you get done driving, then we'll have the map for you of where Morocco is. Because Jesse is an idiot and doesn't know anything about.
But they got good food out there and good things.
I bet.
Go visit there.
I've had some good Moroccan dishes.
There you go.
Actually.
Yeah. Oh, getting hungry again. It's becoming a food
We should have got
podcast.
food.
We should have.
Okay.
We should do themed food and we can eat on air,
That's
like Munch and Crunch.
A great idea.
Yeah.
Munch and Crunch.
Munch and Crunch on the
Jay and
mic,
Jesse.
you know.
That's
not really
ASMR.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Brighton, England. When he was about a teenager,
Yeah.
is when they settled down there, and kind of that was the home from then on.
Yeah.
For a while, at least.
Yeah, so he spent a lot of his teenage years and everything there, listening to a lot of hip hop growing up. I think they did move away. He said he moved away to Portugal and came back again to the UK. And he said it was at a time when jungle music was popping off. If people don't know, sort of like rave scene, drum and bass, jungle music, sort of it was emerging out of that sort of stuff.
You say jungle is like offshoot of house?
It's more like maybe I don't know. It's like really fast. It's more like drum and bass.
Okay.
To me, fast techno music.
Okay, I
a lot
gotcha.
of, like sped up trip hop beats. So trip hop is basically like a slower version of like jungle, I guess. Like
Does jungle have anything to do with like tropical or like the name jungle, or is it just that's just the name?
I know the origins of the name, but yeah.
Okay, just curious. Curious.
Yeah, but yeah, and so he was getting into that, and it was like he realized that it was created by using samplers, and so he got himself an initial sampler, 4-track as well, I think, back into the 4-track club tape machine.
It's been a minute since we went to the 4-track club.
Yeah. So he had a weird one. I think I saw on my notes. It was called an Amstrad 100 4-track, and I looked up a photo of it. It's like this big block.
Ooh, that's a beast.
It's on the image on the video for the video folks, but it's basically like it looks like those old. I don't know if anyone remembers this, like the old hi-fi systems that you used to have, like the all-in-ones that would have the CD player.
Oh yeah.
And kind of looks like that, but it's like got 4 channel strips on it and 2 tape decks, and it's just like looks like a massive box, and the front of it is just all these knobs and stuff like that. That was his 4-track, apparently.
Nice. Pretty robust, it seems.
Yeah, and so that's how he started making music, I think, and he started from the like basically sampling his own record collection.
I was gonna say he had a vinyl collection.
Yeah. So he was collecting music at that point and going out to shows and stuff like that. But yeah,
And this is just out of his bedroom at this point.
Yeah,
he's
I think
a
so.
teenager
Yeah.
sampling his own vinyl collection.
Yeah.
And sampling and making some music for the first time.
Yeah. So his first music was made that way, and it ended up being, I think, his first 2 releases, album releases, were just completely made up of samples from his record collection. So that track we just played was like completely just stuff that he'd spliced together from old jazz records and whatever and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, already out of the gate, he's got this intricate chopping, splicing, sampling technique happening, I think he might have already progressed to computers by the time Bricolage came out, because it doesn't have the sound quality of a 4-track thing. So I think he might have upgraded some of his gear at that point. But, yeah, I mean, that was his first things. And like his first actual release was, he responded to an ad in a magazine, apparently. Did you see this?
Are we talking about Cujo?
Yeah, I think he released it as Cujo, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, just real quick, I mean, as far as I know, he was in college, so we skip ahead a little bit.
Right.
and he was in Brighton, and he was studying editorial photography, which is like photos for articles, like about an artist, like Amon Tobin, for example.
Right.
So he would take the photos,
Okay.
or whatever. He was studying this,
Yeah.
and I guess he sent a demo to a London-based label called 9 Bar,
Yeah.
and they signed Amon Tobin, under the name Cujo,
Right.
and this was 1995.
Yeah. And then, so they put out his first thing, which they called Adventures in Foam, which was an album, came out on 9 Bar.
So that was like unconventional jazz-infused drum and bass trip hop, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like what you're saying.
I think he said a lot of those tracks made their way onto Bricolage. Like he reworked them a little bit,
Okay.
something like that. So
I saw a
similar
lot of
vibe.
those tracks off that album. They appeared on like dozens of different compilations, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And then but this basically earned him a lot of like notice. Like people started to notice throughout the UK
Yeah.
and the electronic music scene that was going on over there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's Mary Ann Hobbs is like a big DJ on Radio 1. She was, I don't know if she still is on Radio 1. She's still around though. She was really influential. She had this show called, I think, Breeze Block Sessions, or that was a part of her show or something. And she would champion a lot of this type of music. And
What's Breeze Block?
that was just the name of her segment, I think, on her show, the Breeze Block Sessions, and it would be like,
Oh, okay.
I think it would be like a guest artist or DJ that would do like an hour set in the middle of her radio show.
Because that's that alt J song, Breeze Block.
Is it? Okay.
What does it mean?
Well, a real breeze block is like what you build with, right? Like
That's what I'm asking. What do you know?
the bigger brick, the big bricks there. Here's a picture of a breeze block
Okay.
on the screen for
Noun,
YouTube
a
viewers.
lightweight building brick
Yeah.
made from small cylinders mixed with sand and cement.
If
A
you
cinder
see-
block.
Is a cinder block in America? Or
I guess that I've
Okay.
heard cinder block, and I know what that is.
Right.
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, complete side note.
Nice.
But yeah, she did. Mary Ann Hobbs did appear in that short documentary thing on Channel 4 that I mentioned earlier, talking. And I think she said about him that he's like the most he appears to be the most far away from like being an electronic DJ as you could imagine, kind of thing, because of his
Okay.
persona. And he's not actually really a DJ. Like he collected vinyl and that, but I think he just went straight to sampling and not like DJing out so
Right.
much. But of course, in the electronic world, and especially starting out, then you're always associated with like DJing, right?
Right.
Goes hand in hand for some reason. A lot of artists, I even heard this about Moby, like back in the day when he was offered gigs, like he was offered DJ slots, and he said, "Oh, I'm not a DJ." They just assumed he was because he was making electronic music. Like, but
So
yeah,
from
Yeah.
audience perspective, they don't know
Yeah.
the difference sometimes, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess like now maybe people are a bit more clued in to that because I mean,
It is, I can see how it's mysterious, especially
Yeah.
back in times like the 90s when we didn't all have cell phones and the internet.
yeah.
And
it just
what are they
sounds-
doing?
Yeah, it just sounds like dance music, or he must be a DJ or something like that. But yeah, so he had that album come out, Adventures in Foam, on 9 Bar. I heard, and then after that, I think it got the ear of Ninja Tune.
Right, and so
Yeah, and then-
shortly after signed to Ninja Tune.
yeah. And then something weird happened where apparently Ninja Tune found out that Adventures in Foam had been re-released in the US, but it was like a botched release and it was unofficial. Like some record label put it out and it had like incorrect song titles on there, some tracks missing, completely different artwork.
What happened?
I don't know. Eventually Ninja Tune got the rights, the full rights to this album, and then they re-released it properly.
Nice.
Physical copies, I think. But yeah, that was kind of his beginnings. And then, being one of the early artists signed to Ninja Tune when they were on their rise, I think really sort of propelled him for those next few years,
Yeah, they helped each other ride
Yeah.
they created a wave to ride together.
Yeah, which led him, I'm on to like do Super Modified album, which is like when I caught his ear. So at that point, it had already been around for like, quite a while, 5 years or something like that.
Right.
But yeah.
So, did we skip over the Creatures EP?
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't mentioned. He has a lot of EPs out as well, right?
Yeah, we don't have to talk about every one, but that just for narrative's sake, that was 1996, and that was I'm just saying it was the first thing released under Ninja Tune under his own name.
Right. Okay.
Under Amon Tobin's name, so that's the significance for me.
Yes, right. Because Cujo, you're right, was what Adventures in Foam came out. In.
Yeah.
So I think that might still be out there, actually, right? Let's see.
I think, but I don't know.
Under Cujo, you can find it. 96 album, Cujo is the only album out there.
Nice.
But you can find that.
And so then later that...
I already hearted it at some point, apparently. I just see now. I liked it.
Look at you go. But later that year, the Creatures EP came out under Amon Tobin's name.
Right, yeah.
And then after that, the next year, 1997, is his first LP.
Yeah.
Full length.
Yeah.
Bricolage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bricolage. I mean, that's how you say it, right? Bricolage?
Yeah. Is that a real word or is it a made-up word?
Let's look it up. Oh, my goodness. I'm just a vocabulary guy.
Excuse me. Oh, yeah. It's a real word.
Bricolage. In art or literature, construction or creation from a diverse range of available things.
Yeah. So that is pretty much exactly what Amon Tobin is doing musically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it sounds like he just found that name.
Yeah.
Or maybe he asked himself, what am I doing? And started looking up words.
Yeah.
In a dictionary. Must have been in a book.
Yeah.
Because there was no internet.
Yeah. Must have
or there
been
was.
a real
I know
book.
there was internet, but not widely spread.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just kidding. But very cool. So that's a cool album. That's a lot samples from old jazz and blues records.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's really good chopping up drums into, break beats.
Yeah.
Really, mixing them with, bass lines, twisted horns, crazy bass lines, cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it's a good album. That's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a lot of good stuff from Amon Tobin, but
yeah,
I went like kind of narrative wise and started with this album, listening to it.
Right.
And I like that stuff.
Yeah, because as you progress through his discography as a listener, it gets more challenging because, you might love Bricolage and even Super Modified, but beyond that point, he starts getting a little bit more crazy, a little bit more experimental, less...
He's challenging himself.
Yeah. And it's a change in his approach as well, because we said he went from sampling records and other existing music to doing field recordings,
right,
and making basically his own soundscapes and instruments out of field recordings,
right.
And he's done different things throughout. Then he's gone back to sampling real instruments, but basically he's moved away from using pre-existing recordings to making his own recordings and then manipulating those sounds and creating new sounds. And yeah, his approach basically is I've heard him say that he just is exploring sound, basically, literally, he's getting these field recordings, he's using plugins and outboard gear to see how he can manipulate them, and he'll noodle around on these one sounds for hours until he has something. And he basically said the music is what's left after he's done all that weird exploration with different sounds and stuff.
It's just he's playing in a sandbox.
Yeah.
And then whatever he's done with, he puts on an album when he's done playing.
Yeah.
He's like, all right.
Yeah. Just crazy.
But so very good stuff.
Yeah.
So Bricolage, that he received some critical acclaim, and he's busted onto the scene.
Yeah.
He's helping Ninja Tune get their feet on the ground, up and running.
Yeah.
And then so after that, followed by 3 EPs, Mission, Chomp Samba, and Piranha Breaks.
Right. Yeah. Piranha Breaks. I think I've heard that one. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get too deep into those as far as research. I don't know too much about those, but I'm sure it's more great, kind of breakbeaty, trip hoppy, jazzy stuff.
Definitely. Yeah.
So where are we at? I'm at Permutation.
Should we play a track off of that?
Yeah.
See how he's progressed so far.
Yeah.
In this episode.
Yeah. Let's do it.
track called Bridge off of Amon Tobin's third album, Permutation. Still at this point, sampling records, I think. Like,
Yeah, 1998.
Yeah.
That one's like overtly jazz infused.
Yeah.
Or influenced.
Yeah, definitely.
And infused, I guess.
Yeah, I think like there were some like independent radio stations that were playing this stuff, and yeah, he sort of caught the ear of a lot of jazz fans because it was. I mean, that was electronic, but it sounds real almost.
Yeah,
like the drums and everything like that.
Yeah, it's sample based, but like real instruments. Almost all of it sounds like a band.
Yeah. And I forgot to say that the second album, Bricolage, Pitchfork gave it 10 out of 10.
That's a 10 out of 10 by Pitchfork?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
They called it one of the most inventive albums or something. Yeah, one of the most inventive records of the decade, they called it. So, yeah.
I mean, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Good for Amon.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Super Modified comes out in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
What do you know about Super Modified? That one's a little bit more... I thought I had some notes on it. It's still kind of in that sample-based jazz world.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit more outside of it, I feel like. It feels a little bit more like machine-y or something like that.
Okay.
Like just the album cover with like the abstract graphics, it kind of looks like a abstract close-up of a robot body part or something. I don't actually know what it is, but it evokes the sound of the music, that album cover. And I think like I mean, Aphex Twin at this point, he's like giving me like similarity vibes more to Aphex Twin stuff, where it's really glitchy electronic stuff. But this isn't that glitchy. It's still like smooth and soul. It has like jazz around the edges, but it's like, yeah, it's crazy. It's hard to describe. It's just like a little bit more modular, like
sure, like a little more urban or industrial.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Like a little bit there, but still wrapped in a jazzy blanket.
Yeah. There you go. Because it's like it's not like robotic. Robotic means like stilted. So it's not robotic or glitchy, but it's definitely like electronic, but in a jazzy blanket.
Okay. Well, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. If that works, that works. But I mean, good stuff.
Yeah.
So another good album.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's just move on from there, I guess. I mean, there's too much to talk about. We can't talk about every album. That was early 2000s, and another EP in 2000 or around 2004, Ton Mantis or Ton Mantis?
Yeah, 4 Ton Mantis, I think.
Okay, maybe I just dropped a letter there.
Yeah.
So it's Ton?
Yeah.
Ton?
Yeah,
Ton.
Ton. Yeah.
Okay. And then Foley Room is another EP?
Yeah.
Or is that a full length? I don't have anything on that.
That was an album, 2007. Yeah. Foley Room, obviously named after like the movie technique of Foley, where they record sound effects for movies.
That's a whole art in itself.
Yeah, and I think at this point he was getting into that field recording side of things and utilizing that.
Cool.
Before then, yes, between 2002 and 2007, he did the Chaos Theory Splinter Cell soundtrack.
Oh, let me back up a little bit because I got a couple things in there. But just real quick. Around this time, 2002, he relocated to Montreal.
Right. Yeah.
So he moved countries, states, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the home of Ninja Tune's headquarters.
Their North American headquarters. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Fine. You're right. 2002, Out From Nowhere came from.
Yeah.
And that was the first album to be recorded in a professional studio.
Yeah.
As far as I have. And that was some of the most complex work up to that point.
Right.
So just saying that. Then 2002 Verbal EP came out. And then 2005 is what I have where Tom Clancy's video game dropped. And that's what you're talking about, Splinter Cell.
Yeah, because I think the Ninja Tune released it like months before the video game came out or something like that.
I think, yeah, you're right.
But yeah, Ubisoft, I think, is the company behind that. They commissioned Amon to do the soundtrack for this video game, and he is very interesting. Like, he provided like 4 different layers of intensity for each like moment in the game that required music, so the game designers could like, you know, programmatically play whatever is appropriate at that time in the game for the player sort of
Very
thing.
cool.
Which is crazy, yeah. So like depending on the level of intensity that you're at in the game. So basically Splinter Cell is kind of like a kind of like you're sneaking around covertly to like get into buildings and like complete these missions and stuff like that. And
Okay.
the goal is to try and do it all like as quietly as possible and sneak around like ninja style sort of thing.
Ninja Tune style?
Yeah, Ninja Tune style. And so yeah, that like I guess the different levels of intensity would be like if you're just sneaking around quietly and no one's noticing you, then it's just like. But then as soon as like a guard notices you, it's like, you know, and it goes up to the next level. Yeah, and then if like they attack you or you attack them, it like rises in tension even more.
That's cool.
It was really like, they really added to the, I think if anyone else had done the music for that, maybe the video game wouldn't have been as cool. Like,
yeah, because that became a pretty big game in general, right? I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, there was a few of them. I played that one I think probably mostly either my brother had it or mostly because of the soundtrack. It was like, oh, I've got to check this out or something. That's weird. It's the only time I've ever checked out a video game just because of the soundtrack.
Because that's how good the music was.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's very cool.
Yeah.
It was recorded using a bunch of real musicians playing real instruments.
Right. Yeah.
On this rather than samples.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a major departure from his earlier work. Mm-hmm. So another kind of stepping stone moment.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then Foley Room 2007.
Yeah.
So that was back to field recordings, and he was using an omnidirectional microphone.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like a kind of like one of those 3D microphones that they have now. Is that kind of what it is?
Maybe. I think. Yeah. I didn't look it up, but I know we covered another artist where they recorded the strings at the end of their song with like a 3D microphone or something like that.
Yeah.
And like
it just like has the panning built in to where the sound was coming from when it was recorded.
Yeah, yeah. And this is the omnidirectional. It records sound from every angle.
Right.
Yeah, 360 sort of thing.
So cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just getting more experimental, like with the technology he's using.
Yeah.
And just like honing himself in.
Yeah.
To like what he wants to do and what he wants to explore.
Yeah.
You know, that's Foley Room, contributions from musicians like the Kronos Quartet and a harpist called Sarah Page.
Right. Cool.
I don't know them, but cool info.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, that brings me to 2009.
Right.
When it's the next kind of big thing in his career.
Yeah.
And he launched the Two Fingers Project.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And so that was a collaboration with the artist called Double Click. And I'm not familiar with him.
Me neither. No.
Okay, then we won't talk about him. But then, in order to explore like bass heavy styles.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was more like dubstep and grime.
Right. Yeah,
More than anything. So kind of another sidestep, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think it's like part of the way he explained it, Armon, with his exploration in sound and music, is that he kind of says it as different lanes kind of thing. So he created these different lanes to explore other areas of music. It's a very sort of organized way of doing it, I guess. Because he could just do that as under his own name, but he decided to separate them out. Like he gave the example of like he could spend hours, messing around with one experimental sound for his Amon Tobin stuff, and then he'll take a break and make like a Two Fingers track in one afternoon, like because it's more conventional, like beats. He calls it beat making, and you know, bass heavy music.
Like, I'm gonna do something easy.
You're gonna make some beats, and then it'll go back to like, making something crazy, intricate thing.
And I wish I would have listened to this, but I didn't really look into the Two Fingers Project as far as hearing the audio.
Well, we got a track.
Oh, perfect.
But this is from much later. He's been doing this for a while, right? But this track is from an album called Orange in 2019. It's a track called Orange.
Awesome.
So that was a track, a single actually, not an album, called Orange. It was a collaboration between Two Fingers, one of Amon Tobin's side projects, and Ivy Lab out of London. So
Yeah.
I like that. It's I gotta listen to some more bass heavy music.
I know, that's fun. It's good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, for the Two Fingers project, I don't know what the project they released called the first one, but I think it features a British grime MC called Sway. There's a Jamaican dancehall singer called Cecile on there. And then there's a American rapper called Miss Jade,
Okay.
who's apparently associated with Timbaland.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't heard.
And
Miss Jade.
I wrote down those notes, so
Yeah.
I wore my Tims.
Oh, you Tim.
My Tims. So, did you know that though? The what is the somebody who's working with Timbaland before he was named Timbaland?
Oh no, I didn't know.
He named him after the shoes.
Oh really? Didn't know that.
The company who makes like construction boots.
Yeah. I own a couple of Timberlands.
Yeah. So there is a connection,
Right.
and I researched that a little bit because this came up.
Yeah.
Because I always wonder, like, is there a connection there, or is that just a coincidence?
Yeah.
Connection.
But he was named after a brand of shoes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Drop the R, change it to an A.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize they changed.
Like Timbaland.
Got it. Yeah.
Timberland.
Got it. Probably had
Fun
to do
stuff.
that for legal reasons.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of these artists started copying names and stuff like Viagra Boys.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Where does it end?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm not.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. So that's Two Fingers. The next thing it comes out with is 2011 ISAM. How do you say that?
Yeah, I never heard it pronounced, but reading it, I pronounced it ISAM.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it means.
Ism.
Ism? Yeah.
It's self-described sound sculpture.
Yeah.
Is what he said,
Right.
which is
Okay.
cool. So he's using like advanced synthesizing processing. And I guess this formed the basis for groundbreaking performance incorporating video mapping techniques.
Yeah, so at this point, he's starting to do some really immersive, interesting live shows, like with the video mapping. There's some clips you can see. I think there's a 40-minute live performance of the album, My Sam. Basically, like he's doing like these massive like projections. Like he's in a box in the middle. You can only see him briefly sometimes because it's kind of like hidden behind a video projection screen. So most of the time he's hidden with all of the crazy like graphics and things they have. And then occasionally you'll see him like in the booth up there kind of thing.
Nice.
And I think like he's from not all of these shows, but he's like tried to like develop a surround sound system in the venue as well. Like kind of like a movie theater, I guess. So
Right.
sounds coming from all directions. And yeah, people have like really praised it as being like kind of reinventing the live music experience because obviously, like he said, he's not a DJ, but for these live performances, he was trying to figure out a way of making them more interesting. And I guess there's two things he did here. One was like the surround sounds, the video mapping, crazy stuff, and then also like in his set, he's like doing crazy flips of like Beyonce's Destiny's Child mixed in with his crazy stuff. So it's like a whole thought out, like sort of half original, half remix craziness.
So still harkening back to like his sampling days.
Yeah.
But in a kind of a new way.
Yeah.
So it's like a whole audio-visual concert experience.
Yeah. And so I think he's tried to release audio versions of these mixes as well, but he said they were getting so heavily edited down because of copyright issues that he said it's not worth releasing because it's killing the mix. Yeah.
Right.
So if you ever get to see Amon Tobin live, and I'd probably like to go do this because it seems similar to like a Flying Lotus show that I went to, but this is seeming crazy, like just from what the clips I saw. Like,
I can't imagine.
Yeah. I don't know who's doing the graphics, but he's obviously teamed up with some people that are really know what they're doing. Crazy. But yeah.
I was just trying to look up if he's coming to Seattle anytime soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he was in Seattle. I think this is an old article. We won't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's 50 years old. He's got all these different projects going on. He's also, we haven't said, he's like, if you ever seen him talk, in these videos, he's like the most chill person.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling relaxed after watching his interviews. I was just like, oh, I'm all calm inside now.
Right. Yeah, I didn't watch as many interviews as I thought, but I got a little bit of that vibe too.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's very cool. Do you know anything about, is he married or what?
I don't know.
Relationships?
Yeah, I don't know about his personal life.
He seems pretty
put it
quiet,
out.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's basically like, he said some funny things like about like the music industry and stuff like that, because he said he doesn't really think about it as an industry. He's just only concerned with what he's doing.
he just wants to mess around with
Yeah.
music and experiment.
Yeah, and basically he said his goal would be that he can be an old man still making music. Like he said, he would just be very happy if he could like be a very old man still making music. Like,
He's halfway there.
yeah, and he said some funny things about like when he went to LA, because they sort of wined and dined him and that. And he said, you know, there were lots of lunches, he said, and lots of meetings, and he said people were talking about like you have to cut your teeth a lot, and he was like, he didn't know what that meant, and he was like, he said like LA is just all about you have to touch base and cut teeth.
What is cutting teeth?
I think what they mean from that is like if you're trying to do like movie soundtrack stuff, like and that kind of thing, you have to cut your teeth on some smaller projects before you work your way up to doing bigger things.
Do some grunt work.
Yeah, network, touch base with people, have lots of lunches. And I just think it wasn't for him. Like he said, this was really early on 2002, he was saying this stuff. That he just thought it was all ridiculous, and he wasn't in it for that. You know, he's in it for just exploring sound, and that's all he cares about. Doesn't care about being famous or a celebrity, or you know, he just wants to explore sound and enjoy it in different avenues as well. Like with his different side projects, he gets to do different genres and try and he uses it as a learning experience. He said to like learn as much about the genre and what he can create and how he can pursue it in his own way as possible. And like that's all he's concerned with. Yeah, but I mean, obviously he's making a living. He's doing these crazy shows.
Right.
You know, he still thinks about things on that level, I think. But it just seems that he, it's not. He basically said, I think something along the lines of people asked him. I think the interviewer asked him what advice would he have for someone starting in the industry, and he said, "I don't see it as an industry, and also don't listen to anyone. Don't take advice from anyone.
Don't listen to anybody."
Yeah, he was just like, do your own thing, and don't listen to anyone. Right. So
I mean, that's great advice.
Yeah.
I love that perspective.
yeah.
Like he's like, it's not an industry, and don't listen to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's rare to like, I really like that point of view, actually, like, in terms of doing music. It's like, you don't have to necessarily do it as a living. You don't have to do it to be famous. The actual goal, the most honest goal could be to just create really good stuff and share it. But, you know, I guess that's not the only way of doing it. People are entertainers in the music.
Yeah.
People want to entertain and be the person, you know, up front. It's like there's lots of different things you can do within music, I think, right?
Yeah, and it's all okay. It's totally,
Yeah.
there's tons of purely performers who have ghostwriters who make their music, whatever. You know, some of these, you know, I don't know, just there's been a lot of pop stars or big artists who are more entertainers. Like I think of like big singers. Like I can't bring anybody to forefront right now. I want to say like Elvis, but you know, singing other people's songs and being more of an entertainer persona.
Oh yeah,
rather
Frank Sinatra and all that. He didn't write. He never wrote anything. Everything he did was all other people. Yeah, but he was the entertainer, the performer.
Right.
He still gave it heart and soul to his
Totally, and
performance.
it's just its own thing. It's a separate thing. It could be both. There's no right or wrong. But do whatever you want to do.
But I think like, you know, it's also just getting your mentality right, though. I think if you're doing music, because if your intentions are in the wrong place, I think is not good. Like, you know, you got to really, as a musician, I think, or an artist, think about why you're doing it. Like, why, you know, are you doing it? If you're doing it to be famous and rich, which there are people out there. I watched the Madonna documentary recently, and that was literally her goal. She wanted to be a pop star. Like,
I want to be famous.
Straight up, I want to be famous. Yeah. But I think like, you know, a lot of people don't really know what it is. And if you don't know what it is you're trying to achieve, then you just make a load of missteps because you're just doing the wrong things because you're not really sure about what it is you're supposed to do. You're just trying to copy other people. Oh, this artist does this, so I should do this. It's like, oh, I should do weird, like, you know, influencer social media shit. But like, does that really match up with like where you want to be heading with your career or musically? Like, it's just something to think. That's what this stuff makes me think about, that intentions of artists.
No, I love that intention.
Yeah.
Doing things with intention, like figuring out, like a lot of these people have figured out what their goal is, like Madonna, and she achieved it. She probably achieved it more efficiently and quickly because she knew what she wanted. She wanted to be rich and famous pop star.
Right. Yeah.
She didn't care about the other distractions. Like, should I do weird music like Amon Tobin?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Or should I do this?
This is popular. I should do this to get famous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
But because if you just try to go down every little route, every little side quest, then you're never gonna get that one true thing that you really want. You're just gonna dabble here, dabble there.
Yeah.
Instead of put all your energy towards a focused goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what Amon Tobin did.
Yeah.
His goal is experimenting.
Yeah, his goal. Yeah, I love the sentiment of the music is what's left after is an aftermath of his experimentations.
I love that. That's such a visual little narrative picture in my head.
It's kind of like carving, right? You have start of a block of wood and
there you
know
go.
the process is chipping away at it, but at the end there's a carving.
No, I mean, somebody said that before, like the David statue, like just a big block of marble, and the statue's in there. You just got to carve away the stuff that's not that thing.
Right. Yeah. It's about taking things away to create something. Crazy shit. Whoa.
And it's backwards. It's backwards. It's cool.
Love it. Well, I don't know if you have any more on Amon Tobin. I think on these subject matters, on these notes, it might be a good way to close things out. But I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think I have two more notes I'll say just real quick, because Two Fingers released a 6 rhymes EP. In 2015, and then Amon Tobin's Dark Jovian EP came out on Ninja Tune the same year.
Right.
And then I think his latest album, Fear in a Handful of Dust, came out 2019 on the No Mark label.
Okay.
And that was like the first proper album in 8 years.
Right.
And it's dispensing with drums and stuff and more electro acoustic and modern composition rather than dance music.
Right.
So I don't know. I didn't really look into that album too much, but just to finish off the narrative there. But yeah, I'm also down to end on these notes right here.
Right.
Because on his kind of his perspective of how to get to his goal.
It's about exploring sound. It's about the sound. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. So just do what you love.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he's an example of the success manifested.
Yeah, that's the thing. He didn't
because he was doing what he wanted.
Yeah, he didn't like make things happen. Although I think at certain points in his career, people around him were, you know, sort of edging him towards those things, like going to LA and meeting people and stuff like that.
Right.
But
there are the realities of life.
Yeah,
you gotta do these things. You still gotta take a shower and pay your taxes.
Exactly. Yeah. But at a certain point, you're right. Just like if you focus on, you know, the passion of it and doing it, things will come to you. You know, people, listeners, you know, whatever it is, like
people respond to what you're doing, and if you show that you care and you show that you're putting love into the project, that's how you communicate with the people.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, if you don't care about something, why is anyone else going to care about it? Like, but if you put the intention and love and care into something, then it can be seen, like, by people. I think. Just like this podcast.
Leave it at that. A beautiful spot to end. Amon Tobin, everybody.
We're probably going to end on one of the most abstract things. In a Valley Stood the Sun, off his album How Do You Live, which this actually came out in last year, 2021.
Okay, so that's the most
super snuck up on you album right there.
Yeah, I I just got bored at 2019 and decided to stop researching.
I've been scrolling forever.
Yeah, I'm just like albums.
Discography.
Amon Tobin, really cool experimental music. Check him out. I say start at like bricolage.
Yeah.
Early career and just like go chromatically.
And do your own exploration.
Yeah.
Along with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Through the albums.
Explore with Amon Tobin.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here. If you guys got any cool info on Amon Tobin, or you want to say what's up, or you want to say how much of a hater you are about our show, please let us know. We'd love to get in contact with you, and you can send an email to the address, Jay.
Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signal Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.